Welcome to Whisper's Story, where every word whispers secrets of the heart and every pause holds the promise of revelation. Tonight, we embark on a journey through the tangled corridors of family, where blood isn't the only bond and every scar tells a story of love, loss, and unexpected kinship. Let your mind wander as you discover the hidden truths behind the ties that bind, and allow your heart to be stirred by the raw, unfiltered emotions that have shaped lives. Stay with us, for in the echoes of these stories lie the keys to understanding your own journey, keys that could change everything you thought you knew about belonging. And if you crave more tales that resonate with the soul, hit that subscribe button and join our family at Whisper's Story. It began on a cool autumn evening, when the sky wore an indigo hue, and the wind whispered secrets of days gone by. I sat alone on the creaking wooden porch of my childhood home, a relic of memories and faded photographs, and let my thoughts wander through time. Every crevice of the old house echoed with laughter and sorrow, imprinted in every chipped paint and worn stair. The realization of my solitude grew heavier with each breath, and in that quiet moment, I began to understand that the family I had known was not the only family worth cherishing. I had spent most of my life believing that blood ties defined the entirety of familial connection. The idea that those who shared your DNA were the only ones who could truly understand you was a notion passed down through generations, ingrained by both tradition and the tender promises of childhood. Yet, as twilight surrendered to the deep blue of night, I found myself questioning this deeply rooted belief. The memories of long-forgotten voices and empty chairs in the dining room began to speak to me in a language that transcended blood, a language of shared experience, mutual support, and the gentle warmth of chosen kin. In the faded photograph album on the coffee table, images of relatives smiling in perfect unison contrasted sharply with the solitary image of my own reflection, looking back at a time when family was defined only by lineage. The pictures were a stark reminder of how time had redefined the roles of many in my life. Some faces had slowly disappeared into the mists of memory, while others had morphed into strangers who no longer belonged to the same narrative. I realized that the concept of family had evolved far beyond the simple equation of blood and genetics. That realization came to me slowly, like the first rays of dawn after a long, sleepless night. I began to see that the essence of family was not confined to those who were physically present or bound by the rigidity of birth. Instead, it was found in those who, despite the absence of a shared genetic marker, had been steadfast companions on the winding road of life. The long-forgotten smile of an old friend, the unwavering support of a neighbor during a crisis, and the gentle care of a mentor. All these threads wove together into a tapestry that defined a family in its truest, most profound sense. In that contemplative solitude, I realized that family could be chosen. A network of souls connected by shared trials, mutual respect, and the genuine desire to lift each other up. The narrative of my life was not solely determined by the family I was born into, but by the community I had cultivated over the years. With this emerging awareness, my heart felt simultaneously lighter and heavier, a contradiction of joy and sorrow intermingled in the bittersweet revelation. Have you ever experienced a moment when the ties of friendship or community felt stronger than those of blood? Reflect on how such moments have reshaped your understanding of what it means to be family. I remember the day vividly, the day the illusion of the conventional family began to crumble under the weight of truth. It was an ordinary day with an extraordinary twist, an afternoon when the mundane was interrupted by an unexpected revelation. I was walking down a quiet street lined with old maple trees whose leaves danced in the breeze, when an old friend, whose face had softened with years of experiences and scars, unexpectedly crossed my path. In that brief, silent exchange of glances, the very notion of what defined a family was irrevocably altered. The encounter was unplanned, a collision of paths that seemed to be orchestrated by fate itself. As I continued my walk, my mind churned with thoughts of the past and the various forms of connection I had held dear. I began to question the rigid boundaries I had constructed around the concept of family. Had I, in my pursuit of a neatly packaged notion of kinship, lost sight of the beauty inherent in human connection? Was it possible that the bonds we forge with others, through shared moments of vulnerability and empathy, could be more profound than any bond dictated by birth? This unanticipated epiphany left me in a state of introspection for many days. I started noticing small gestures, the neighbor who always smiled as she tended her garden, the solitary man at the bus stop whose eyes revealed a lifetime of untold stories, the barista who remembered my favorite blend of coffee. Each interaction, once dismissed as trivial, now shimmered with significance. I began to realize that these seemingly inconsequential moments were the building blocks of a chosen family, a community formed not by the accident of birth, but by the deliberate act of caring. As I recalled those moments, my heart swelled with gratitude and, paradoxically, a deep melancholy. The conventional image of family had always been portrayed as a source of unconditional love and acceptance, yet my own experience had been riddled with complexity and heartache. It was in those instances of unexpected connection that I found solace, an understanding that the warmth of human empathy could often fill the void left by familial estrangement. This revelation was not a fairy tale ending but a raw, unfiltered truth. Family is often found in the unlikeliest of places and in the most unexpected people. In retrospect, that day on the quiet street became a turning point in my life, a day when I began to rewrite the narrative of my existence. I embraced the notion that family is a mosaic of moments, each piece a reflection of shared human experience, rather than a mere collection of relatives. The pain of betrayal, the sting of abandonment, and the sorrow of unmet expectations. All were counterbalanced by the simple, enduring acts of kindness from strangers who, in time, became dear friends. My journey of self-discovery had only just begun, and I welcomed the uncertainty with a cautious optimism. When was the last time an unexpected encounter changed your perspective on life? Consider how these chance moments might have shaped your own definition of connection and belonging. The journey continued, leading me into a labyrinth of memories, emotions, and serendipitous encounters. Each step on the worn path of my past brought with it fragments of experiences that, when pieced together, painted a complex picture of what it truly meant to belong. I began to see that the threads of connection were woven not only by family ties but also by the invisible bonds forged through shared hardships and collective resilience. I recalled a period when life's challenges had separated me from those who were meant to be my family. An acrimonious fallout, driven by misunderstandings and unspoken grievances, had left an indelible mark on my soul. In the aftermath of that painful schism, I discovered solace in the embrace of friends who, despite not sharing my bloodline, became a haven of unwavering support. Their compassion and strength illuminated the darkness of isolation, proving that genuine care transcends the conventional limits of familial ties. In the tapestry of my recollections, one image remained particularly vivid, a modest community center that had become a sanctuary for lost souls like myself. There, in the warmth of candlelit evenings and the quiet murmur of shared stories, I encountered people from all walks of life, each carrying their own burdens and scars. We were a motley crew bound not by genetics but by the mutual desire to heal and to rebuild. Together, we created a makeshift family, a refuge where the unspoken language of empathy and understanding formed the foundation of our relationships. The community center, with its peeling walls and time-worn benches, served as a symbol of resilience and hope. Within its modest confines, I learned that the act of belonging was not contingent upon a predetermined blueprint, but was instead an ever-evolving process of acceptance and growth. I met a retired schoolteacher with kind, wise eyes, whose gentle guidance provided comfort in times of despair, a former nurse whose hands, though calloused by years of labor, still possessed the tenderness to heal unseen wounds, and countless others whose stories resonated with my own. Each person was a testament to the idea that family is not merely a matter of blood, but a tapestry woven with shared experiences and compassionate hearts. As I walked away from the center one chilly evening, my mind brimming with the echoes of the voices I had encountered, I felt a stirring of hope, a belief that even in the absence of traditional family, there existed a network of support that could sustain me through life's most trying moments. The community I had found was a living embodiment of the truth that family is a choice, a deliberate act of coming together, of embracing the humanity in each other. And while the pain of lost blood ties still lingered in the recesses of my memory, it was now counterbalanced by the profound beauty of these newfound connections. Reflect on the people who have unexpectedly become part of your inner circle. How have these chosen relationships helped you navigate the complexities of life, and what small act of kindness can you extend today? The journey of self-discovery inevitably led me to confront the remnants of a lost home, a place where love and pain were inextricably intertwined. In the heart of an old neighborhood, now quiet and stripped of its former vibrancy, I revisited the streets of my youth. Each corner, each weathered doorway, and every lingering echo of laughter served as a poignant reminder of a time when familial bonds were assumed to be unbreakable. The neighborhood had once been a thriving tapestry of life, a mosaic of traditions, values, and communal celebrations. It was there, among the familiar faces of neighbors who shared both our joys and sorrows, that I experienced the full spectrum of what it meant to belong. Yet, as time advanced with relentless inevitability, the community was slowly dismantled by the dual forces of modernization and disillusionment. Old houses gave way to new constructions, and the streets once filled with the laughter of children now resonated with a somber silence. In that quiet decay, I sensed the painful truth that even the most cherished memories could be eroded by time. In the midst of this transformation, I found myself grappling with the duality of loss and renewal. The physical space that once represented the cradle of my identity was now a ghostly reminder of what had been, an echo of familial love that had since been marred by misunderstanding and regret. The faded murals on brick walls and the abandoned playgrounds spoke of a history that was as bittersweet as it was transient. I wandered through the familiar lanes, each step stirring memories of family dinners, shared celebrations, and the unspoken promises that seemed to hang in the very air. It was in the solitude of these memories that I came to a profound realization. The notion of home is not solely tied to physical spaces or to the presence of blood relatives. Instead, home can be found in the hearts of those who offer support, understanding, and unconditional acceptance, regardless of how we came to know them. This epiphany was both liberating and painful, as it forced me to confront the painful truth that the loss of a familiar environment often signals the need to rebuild one's sense of belonging from scratch. I began to appreciate that every ending, however sorrowful, carries with it the seeds of a new beginning, one that is nurtured by the bonds we choose to forge. Yet, the journey of rediscovery was not without its challenges. The lingering ghosts of past grievances and the weight of unspoken words haunted the corridors of my mind. In the quiet moments, as I stood before the dilapidated facade of my childhood home, I could almost hear the murmurs of old resentments and the quiet sobs of dreams that had been abandoned. The scars of broken relationships and unmet expectations left an indelible mark on my soul, a reminder that the past, no matter how painful, is an integral part of who we become. In embracing this complexity, I learned that moving forward did not mean erasing the past, but rather acknowledging its lessons and letting them guide us toward a future where the definition of family was no longer confined to blood. I discovered that true belonging was a delicate balance between honoring our history and embracing the transformative power of new connections. The bittersweet interplay of loss and renewal became the backdrop against which I began to redefine what home truly meant. Think about a place from your past that holds both beautiful and painful memories. How can you transform the lessons from that space into a foundation for creating a new sense of belonging? In the labyrinth of life's journey, crossroads appear unexpectedly. Moments when the heart is forced to choose between the comfort of familiarity and the call of a new, uncharted path. I found myself standing at one such crossroads, torn between the lingering ties of my birth family and the emerging connections that promised healing and growth. It was a moment of reckoning, a time when the weight of history pressed upon me, demanding an honest confrontation with my innermost fears and desires. At this pivotal juncture, the realization that family is not solely defined by genetic bonds became more than an abstract idea. It was a tangible, pulsating truth that resonated in every heartbeat. I recalled the faces of those who had once been the pillars of my early life, now rendered distant by the passage of time and the inevitable rifts that arise from unspoken grievances. The familiar comforts had been overshadowed by a profound sense of disillusionment, a quiet acknowledgement that the ties which once held us together were now fraying at the edges. It was here, at this metaphorical intersection, that I encountered a series of serendipitous events. A chance meeting with a wise stranger on a park bench, the unexpected kindness of a passing neighbor, and the warm glow of a community event all converged to create a moment of clarity. In the midst of these experiences, I began to discern the intricate dance of fate and free will. Every decision, every act of compassion, and every shared smile contributed to a mosaic of connection that defied the boundaries of blood. The crossroads became a metaphor for the choices we face in life, a reminder that while the past shapes us, it does not have to dictate our future. The pain of fractured relationships and the lingering sorrow of unmet expectations were not barriers to new beginnings but stepping stones on the path to a deeper, more authentic sense of family. In the delicate interplay of heart and memory, I learned that the courage to let go of old wounds and embrace new possibilities was a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. This juncture in my life was both liberating and daunting. The decision to redefine family required not only the strength to forgive but also the willingness to trust in the unpredictable beauty of new bonds. It was a leap of faith, a conscious choice to believe that the love and support of a chosen family could mend the fragments of a broken past. And so, with cautious hope, I stepped forward into the unknown, carrying with me the wisdom of old scars and the promise of fresh beginnings. Every step along that path was imbued with the quiet determination to create a legacy of connection that transcended the limitations of blood ties. I began to see that the true measure of family lies not in the genetic code we inherit, but in the courage to build relationships that nurture the soul and uplift the spirit. The journey was far from easy, yet it was marked by moments of profound clarity, a recognition that every ending, however painful, opens the door to a new chapter of growth and transformation. At your own crossroads, what small step can you take to heal old wounds and welcome new connections? Consider how your choices can redefine your sense of family and belonging. In the wake of my journey through loss and rediscovery, the echoes of the heart began to resound with a newfound clarity. As I navigated the intricate terrain of emotional landscapes, I realized that the voice of the heart is often drowned out by the cacophony of societal expectations and the rigid definitions of what family should be. The echoes, however, persisted, gentle reminders of the bonds that could transcend time, distance, and even the deepest wounds. It was during these quiet moments of introspection that I encountered a series of experiences that further solidified my evolving understanding of family. I began to observe the subtle nuances in the interactions of those around me, a warm smile exchanged between neighbors, the tender care of an old friend in times of despair, and the unspoken understanding shared between individuals who had weathered the storms of life together. Each of these moments served as a testament to the idea that family is more than a genetic tie. It is a living, breathing connection nurtured by empathy and genuine concern for one another. One particularly evocative memory was that of a small, community-run art exhibition held in a repurposed warehouse. The space, filled with an eclectic mix of paintings and sculptures, served as a microcosm of the human experience, a visual narrative of struggle, hope, and resilience. The art on display captured the myriad emotions that defined our collective journey, and as I wandered among the pieces, I felt the profound interconnectedness of our lives. It was as if each stroke of paint and each carved detail echoed the unspoken truth that our hearts are capable of forming bonds that defy conventional definitions of family. In that space, I met individuals who embodied the very essence of chosen kinship. There was a woman whose weathered hands told stories of hardship and unwavering determination, a man whose eyes shone with the wisdom of 1,000 unsung tales, and many others whose lives had been irrevocably transformed by acts of kindness and compassion. Their stories, etched in every line and crevice of their being, underscored the belief that true family is forged in the crucible of shared experiences. The art and the people together created an environment where the traditional boundaries of kinship blurred, giving way to a more inclusive, heartfelt definition of family. As I left the exhibition, the echoes of that day continued to resonate within me. I understood that the heart's capacity to connect is infinite, capable of forming familial bonds that extend far beyond the limits of biology. It was a realization that carried with it both comfort and a touch of melancholy, a bittersweet acknowledgement that while we may lose those bound by blood, we gain the immeasurable richness of relationships built on love, empathy, and mutual respect. The lessons learned in that artistic haven became the compass that guided my subsequent steps. I began to embrace the idea that the essence of family is found in the shared laughter, the collective tears, and the silent understanding that arises from witnessing one another's vulnerabilities. The echoes of the heart had taught me that family is an ever-evolving concept, one that is continually shaped by the experiences we choose to share and the love we extend, even in the face of life's inevitable hardships. In the quiet moments, what does your heart whisper about the nature of connection? Consider the small acts of love and understanding that have enriched your life and helped redefine your idea of family. There came a day when, after years of wandering through memories and forging new bonds, I finally experienced a moment of epiphany so profound that it redefined every notion I had held about family. It was neither marked by grand gestures nor dramatic revelations, but by a quiet, almost imperceptible shift in perspective. In that singular moment, I understood that family isn't always defined by blood. It is, instead, an intricate tapestry woven by the threads of shared experiences, sacrifices, and unconditional support. This moment occurred in the stillness of an early winter morning, when the world lay blanketed in a soft frost and the air carried a crisp, invigorating clarity. I found myself walking along a frozen lake, the surface shimmering under the pale light of dawn. The silence was profound, punctuated only by the occasional crunch of my footsteps on the icy path. In that hushed solitude, the layers of my past, each painful memory, every loss, and all the small, beautiful moments of connection, merged into a single, undeniable truth: the essence of family is born from love and compassion, not merely from shared genetics. As I strolled along the lakeside, my thoughts drifted to the people who had unexpectedly filled the void left by broken ties. I remembered the gentle hands that had helped me up in times of despair, the caring eyes that had silently supported me through my darkest hours, and the resilient hearts that had inspired me to rebuild my life from the fragments of a fractured past. In that serene, frozen landscape, I felt a profound connection to these individuals, a connection that transcended the simplistic boundaries of birth and lineage. This epiphany was not a sudden burst of joy or a euphoria that banished all pain. Rather, it was a quiet, steady acknowledgement of the truth that had been present all along. It was a moment of clarity that allowed me to embrace the bittersweet complexity of my life without the need for tidy conclusions. I realized that the family I had once idealized was only one part of a larger mosaic. A mosaic that now included the diverse, imperfect, and deeply human connections I had nurtured over the years. In the gentle embrace of that frozen morning, I let go of the old, confining definitions of family. I accepted that the love and support I found in unexpected places were just as valid, just as essential, as any bond forged by blood. The revelation was liberating, yet it carried a quiet sorrow for what had been lost and for the inevitable imperfections of any human connection. It was a moment of profound clarity that redefined my identity and opened my eyes to the endless possibilities of belonging. Have you ever experienced a quiet moment of realization that transformed your understanding of what family means? Reflect on how these epiphanies can guide you toward embracing the full complexity of your relationships. Time marched on, carrying with it the remnants of old wounds and the seeds of new beginnings. I found solace in revisiting the landscapes of my memory, not as a means of dwelling on the past, but as a way to understand the intricate interplay of joy and sorrow that had shaped my journey. In the mirror of memory, I saw reflections of every smile, every tear, and every quiet act of kindness that had come to define my life. It was here, in this internal gallery of experiences, that I continued to forge my understanding of family, a concept that was as fluid and ever-changing as the passage of time itself. The mirror, both literal and metaphorical, became a symbol of introspection. I would often find myself staring into it, searching for the person I had once been and the person I was destined to become. In those moments, the image that returned was not one defined solely by physical features or genetic heritage, but by the cumulative experiences that had left indelible marks upon my soul. I saw the traces of heartbreak and the remnants of resilience, the scars of betrayal mingled with the enduring glow of hope. The face that stared back was a living testament to the journey of rediscovery, a mosaic of past pains and present strengths. In this reflective process, I began to understand that memory is not a static record of events, but a living, breathing narrative that evolves with every new experience. Each recollection was a brushstroke on the canvas of my identity, adding depth and complexity to the portrait of my life. I realized that the relationships I had forged with friends, mentors, and even strangers had become an integral part of this portrait, a testament to the idea that family is as much about the intangible bonds of love and understanding as it is about genetic connection. In my moments of introspection, I also came to appreciate the impermanence of every moment. The pain of lost connections and the ephemeral nature of each joyful encounter underscored a poignant truth. Life is a series of fleeting instants, each one contributing to the intricate tapestry of who we are. While the comforting image of blood relatives had long dominated my definition of family, I recognized that the true measure of belonging lay in the courage to embrace change, to honor the past without being imprisoned by it, and to open one's heart to the myriad possibilities of connection. This deep reflection, as raw and unfiltered as it was, allowed me to accept that family is an ever-evolving concept, a mosaic of experiences, emotions, and shared moments that cannot be confined by simplistic definitions. In the mirror of memory, I learned to see beauty in imperfection, strength in vulnerability, and hope in the remnants of lost dreams. It was a bittersweet journey, one marked by both the pain of what had been and the promise of what might still be. What reflections does your inner mirror reveal about your journey? Consider how your past experiences have shaped the person you are today, and how they continue to inform your understanding of family. As the seasons turned and life continued its relentless march forward, I found myself standing at the precipice of an uncharted future. A future where the notion of family was as expansive and unpredictable as the horizon. The journey of self-discovery had taught me that the narrative of belonging is never truly complete. Each chapter of life is a work in progress, a delicate balance between honoring the past and welcoming the unknown. The realization that family isn't always defined by blood had liberated me from the constraints of tradition, allowing me to embrace a broader, more inclusive concept of connection. The path ahead was both daunting and exhilarating. I knew that the choices I made would continue to shape the intricate tapestry of my life, intertwining threads of joy, sorrow, resilience, and hope in ways I could scarcely imagine. I had learned that the strength of chosen family lay not in perfection, but in the messy, unpredictable beauty of human relationships. It was the laughter shared in quiet moments, the silent support in times of crisis, and the unconditional love that blossomed in the unlikeliest of circumstances that truly defined what it meant to belong. In the quiet moments of reflection, I began to appreciate that life's story is never truly finished. It is a continuous journey of transformation and rediscovery. The lessons gleaned from the pain of lost ties and the beauty of new connections served as a compass, guiding me through the complexities of existence. I realized that while the scars of past betrayals might never fully fade, they could serve as reminders of the resilience of the human spirit and the endless capacity for renewal. My journey had been one of both loss and triumph, a delicate dance between the grief of unmet expectations and the joy of unexpected kinship. I recognized that there would never be a neat, happy ending, nor would there be a moment when all questions were answered. Instead, the beauty of life lay in its unfinished nature, in the promise that each day held the potential for new beginnings, deeper connections, and the quiet, transformative power of love. As I embraced this unending story, I felt a profound gratitude for the chosen family who had walked beside me through every twist and turn of my journey. Their presence was a constant reminder that the bonds we form in life, though sometimes fragile, have the strength to endure even the most challenging of times. In accepting the incomplete, unpredictable nature of life, I found a sense of peace, a quiet assurance that family, in all its forms, is a source of endless inspiration and unwavering support. As you stand at the crossroads of your own journey, how will you embrace the uncertainty of what lies ahead? Consider the ways in which your relationships, whether chosen or given, shape the ongoing story of your life. In the final analysis of this winding journey, I realized that the quest to understand the true nature of family is a lifelong expedition, an evolving tapestry woven with threads of joy, sorrow, love, and loss. The moments of epiphany, the quiet reflections by a frozen lake, the haunting memories of a lost home, and the gentle echoes of the heart have all converged to teach me one undeniable truth: family is not solely defined by the circumstances of our birth, but by the connections we nurture along the way. This journey was not a neatly wrapped narrative with a definitive ending, but rather an ongoing process, a continuous, dynamic interplay of experiences that both challenge and uplift us. It is a reminder that every day presents an opportunity to forge new bonds, to reconcile the past with the present, and to redefine what it means to belong in a world that is ever-changing. In the grand mosaic of life, each act of kindness, every shared moment of understanding, and each quiet gesture of empathy serves as a testament to the enduring power of chosen family. For those who find themselves questioning the very fabric of their existence, I offer this reflection. The bonds that truly sustain us are those forged in the crucible of shared experience. Connections that, despite the absence of blood, resonate with the quiet certainty of unconditional love. It is in embracing the unfinished story of our lives that we discover the true beauty of human connection, a beauty that is as raw and real as it is hopeful and transformative. How will you continue to weave your own tapestry of connections, honoring both the pain of the past and the promise of new beginnings? Share your thoughts, embrace the journey, and remember that the beauty of family lies in its boundless, ever-evolving nature.